world is going to change in ways we never thought possible this very decade. I am Alexander Tsado, a Nigerian. While at NVIDIA, I helped design the technology platforms that make modern AI possible and initiate design of what these platforms can look like and do 3 years from now. As Africa's growing central AI platform, we, Alliance for Africa's Intelligence, Alliance for AI for short, we enjoy working with you, the experts and users, to define what we should focus our artificial intelligence on in Africa. By the end of this talk, we should have a fair idea, or at least questions to ask ourselves as we decide together. Here, starting us off with a parable, as Africans would, a young man received an arrow from his great friend, an incredibly powerful arrow. An arrow is a great prop because they are the symbol of the strongest African civilization to ever live, the Kushites of Kush. You should learn about them if you haven't already. So our young friend decided to ask himself what he should do with the arrow. With him, we'll pick options. His first options were to keep it in a beautiful room and just let it follow. Second option was to use it to go out and scare his neighbors and take their homes. The third option is to use it to play around, draw pictures, create spectacles for people to come and watch, and pay him for these activities, which were entertaining to their lives, but not necessarily adding a lot of value. The last option is to use the arrow to go into the forest, to kill some game, and then bring that back home to feed his family and his community. This beautiful sharp arrow is like artificial intelligence, the most powerful technology we humans have come up with thus far in our existence. We must similarly ask ourselves what we should do with this sort of power. What do you think the most powerful countries are doing with this technology today? What do you think the United States of America is doing? What do you think China is doing with it? Well, let's explore. The United States today, as we view it, I will oversimplify here, but what we are seeing is they're using AI to increase sales and automation, more or less driving capitalism, the growing belief that all we're here to do as humans is continue to grow until, I hope, we don't explode. The top companies in America that have access to artificial intelligence are mostly at their core marketing companies. Facebook, Google, even Microsoft now. They take artificial intelligence and use it to study very closely their users so they can understand every cue that's possible that would then become important in selling them new things, anything. Worst case scenario today, even selling them political decisions, taking away choices. On the other hand, you have the largest companies in the world looking to automate everything that's possible. Let's remove the humans. Let's just remove thousands of workers and let's automate this so it's faster and safer. You have your Amazons, you have your General Motors, you have your car factories. This is what America is doing with artificial intelligence. And yes, they are increasing sales beyond what you can imagine. And this is literally just the beginning. And so back to our friend here. I think we'll place the USA and China on option 3 making people buy stuff or controlling them to stay at home because they're being watched by AI-powered cameras in China. For the other options, I see our friends in Russia and North Korea potentially an option too, where they're looking to use AI to drive dominance, using it to improve their security systems, their weaponry, to build some of the greatest weapons we've ever seen, so that they might take ownership and power of the entire globe. Now, I don't know who is keeping AI in a beautiful room to follow. Perhaps the nice folks from Australia or Canada would be the usual suspects, but I doubt even they are doing that. But more importantly, I hope that here in Africa, we leverage AI to create opportunity for ourselves, our communities, our people, and the rest of the world. As the center of the world, we have an opportunity to center AI around human needs, real human needs, to reduce the suffering of billions of people who lack access to resources today. But how can we do that from Africa when we lack resources the most? We can't, of course, copy the applications of the rest of the world's nations because they are starting off from a different place than we are. We don't have the roads that they have in America. We don't have the teachers that they have in the United Kingdom. We don't have the doctors that they have in Norway or Sweden. We don't have the internet coverage that you will find in Japan or China. So how then can we compete with AI? Many will ask. To crown it off, numbers from the Africa 10 initiative show that we are experiencing over $100 billion gap in the amount of money we're supposed to spend every year if we are to keep up with the infrastructure spend gap that we have. From Alliance for AI, we ask, can AI help with this? Well, the answer is some Africans are already doing this. They're not waiting for the question to be answered. I'll show you some examples. On the space of agriculture, you find that there are a number of people who are using this technology to improve the lives of farmers. Over 400 million farmers in Africa, predominantly subsistence farmers. An example is Wheat Farm from Kenya. Now, many years ago, they decided that they wanted to connect millions of small farmers and help them provide information that would reduce the yield loss they face every year. To break that down, in Africa, roughly 50%, if not more, of what is produced gets wasted from reasons amounting to nature, not understanding the moisture or humidity content, to issues further down the value chain where farmers cannot predict where there will be a market for their crops and what the pricing will be. And so their perishable goods, of course, perish. All of this creates a challenge for Africa, whereby by the 2022-2023s, according to Stripe Mayusiwa, we will be importing over $100 billion worth of goods and food to our continent, the most rich continent on the planet. And so back to our examples. We decided to build AI models that would understand the questions coming from hundreds of thousands and eventually over 1 million farmers, and then provide information on farming via a text message, not the internet, but a text message, USSD. Now they're able to help farmers increase their yield by many multiples. With the second example, Complete Farmer from Ghana. They created this emerging model where they place farms on the internet for people, both local and international, to decide where they want to invest fixed amounts of money for a fixed number of months for a fixed rate of return. For example, you can invest in a cassava farm for 3 months and expect a 7% return. Now you have an incredible influx of cash coming in to support farms. Now, what do they do with that money? They take it, they invest it in subsistence farms with improved farming methods, methods that are increasingly becoming driven by data and analytics. In recent times, they're considering using AI to study the soil of different parts of the nation so that they can be very deliberate about the kind of food that they produce from those lands. For example, imagine producing tomatoes that can cure hypertension or diabetes. Well, let's call it more manage than cure. Our last example here is AgriPredict. They come out of Zimbabwe, if I'm not forgetting that. And they are using the mobile phone, which now majority of Africans have access to. They deploy these AI models on the phone so people can take pictures of plants and detect disease and go further to propose what the solution might be. These will truly improve the lives of farmers across over 400 million farmers on our continent. Can we bring healthcare to the villages and even cities? Affect hundreds of millions of Africans again. We will never have enough doctors on the African continent. So we need to start thinking of how we can use technology to expand the reach for current doctors and enable new health professionals to serve patients the way only doctors can today. For example, if you have one doctor who can feasibly see 100 patients in a day, perhaps with AI, you can help this doctor be able to see 400 patients in a day. Similarly, you might have a pharmacist who can't detect basic diseases, but then you have more pharmacists in the villages. Perhaps you can build AI tools on mobile phones that they can then use to detect simple diseases. Or now you have your villagers, you eliminate the need for them to travel 5 hours and to spend their life savings to go to the city to just test to see if they have a skin disease. Our examples on the board: Ubemwa from Nigeria. Charles Onu, the CEO of this company, has fought for over 5 years and has finally created an application on the phone that will listen to the cry of a newborn baby and within 10 seconds detect if the baby has asphyxia, a disease that kills many babies across the entire world. The regular practice is for the nurse or the medical professionals to take over 1 minute to detect that the baby has this issue, at which point the baby might start to have a mental brain damage. Charles and Ubemwa are preventing this with their technology. Tambua Health in Kenya has built a jacket or a mobile phone that you can place on the back of a patient. It will capture the sound waves from the lungs and use it to create a medical image that medical professionals can now use to detect diseases like tuberculosis and recently tweaked for COVID-19. Now, these are inventions that the rest of the world has not seen or come up with, but we have in Africa. As I say, necessity breeds innovation. We are innovating for our lives in Africa, and we are creating things the world has never seen before. It's high time they started to learn from us. Akazuba is the name of one of the robots of Rwanda. At the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic in March, they deployed a series of robots to support medical healthcare professionals in their hospitals. Now, these robots have the ability to scan the temperature of patients, take them in and offer care, provide them the food, drugs throughout the day, and reduce the exposure from them to healthcare professionals. It does many more things that even I don't know about, but I just found them really incredible, cute, good to look at, and a true testament to how Africans are using technology to extend the reach of services to its people. And the fintech space, you have hundreds, thousands of small businesses all trying to get loans and credits so they can operate. This is a natural, normal phenomenon for all sizes of businesses. I surprise you to learn and hear that businesses in America take out the most loan and credit than anywhere else in the world. And so this is not a thing that only poor African businesses need. Credit is the lifeblood of growing entrepreneurship. But in Africa, most of these businesses have no way to access credit that would provide the working capital they need to grow. Now, in my view, this is not the fault of the banks. Banks need to have a way to trust you before they can give you money, because that is their business. They need you to bring it back. In the past, well, even currently in many parts of the world, the only way to show that you are trustworthy is to provide a collateral, something the bank can hold on to until you return their money, and then they give it back to you, like a house. But then how do you ask the owner of a small business to provide a mansion for collateral? If he had that mansion, he or she would not be asking you for the loan. Hence, we start to see the onset of many fintech, financial tech companies showing up to leverage technology to extend trust to small businesses and people. With this trust, you can now have businesses like the lady in the picture have access to capital that they would leverage to increase their revenues 4 to 5 times. We are seeing this happen across the entire African continent. Last year, over 50% of the venture capital invested on the continent went to fintech companies. Now, this is incredible. I am only excited for all the businesses that are able to leverage this new access to grow their businesses, hire thousands of people, create opportunities. The catch here is there is some regulation to be made to ensure that the interest rates are not beyond the benefits that these businesses are getting. That's the bit of a shadowy side of this tale. But on the positive side, you now have people getting access to funds that they could never have dreamt of. Some key examples are Pay Later, which is now Carbon out of Nigeria, Fauri from Egypt, Jumo in South Africa, and Cellulance, one of the very first ones out of Kenya, founded by a great mentor, Ken Njoroge. These companies are truly changing the lives and pathways of millions of Africans. We have a number of ethical decisions to make about artificial intelligence in Africa. Shoes. I like shoes. And as you can see, there was a decision to be made on whether we use AI to improve the lives of the rich or the poor. In most parts of the world, the choice has been made to improve the lives of the rich because they're making the decisions. They only care about improving marketing to sell more or firing all their incompetent, poor staff so they can use machines instead to automate. In Africa, I plead that we do different. We can improve the lives of the less privileged by using AI to provide access where it doesn't exist today. So we choose between automation or job creation. We choose between understanding how farms operate so you can increase yield, reduce loss, or controlling human beings. That is a key decision to make. We don't understand the full applications of artificial intelligence yet, especially as it applies to altering human behavior. And so it can be argued that we should give ourselves more time to learn about that use case. But then there are other use cases that we have a decent understanding about. For example, farms. There are hundreds of use cases for AI. I think we should place them on a table and decide which ones should we apply AI to already, and which ones should we give some time and decide and place out the criteria that would allow us to be more comfortable applying the technology to them. There are many other choices that we need to make. But I'll stop sounding like an old and wise man now and welcome you to check out the existing programs we are running for Black people all over the world at Alliance for AI. Join the network we're building so you can learn with the people, access the information on our startups, so you can see how you can grow faster. And send us a note. Tell your own great AI stories on our platform, so people not just on the African continent, but beyond can see it. We dedicate our services to the global African in Africa, the UK, the US, Brazil, Colombia, Asia, and to the global underrepresented, as there are many groups of people who are today excluded from the artificial intelligence innovation table. And we have to stop that if we are not to hit a brick wall in the next few years. I close by saying that AI can be the key to bringing back Africa's prosperity, if and only if we start taking the right decisions today. Thank you for your time.